Chapter 9, Alternatives. So we have an introduction. Uh, feature of any conflict, feature of any conflict situation, help convince using resource power, help persist because of confidence, associated tactics based on alternatives. So when you look at the help convince using resource power, this is when they know they need more than you need them. So help convince somebody, they know they need you more than you need them, and help persist because of confidence. And think about this. It's give you an example. You have a good option, and you are resistant to being convinced, and associated tactics based on alternatives. So we think of you will understand. This helps you to kind of understand. Understand what say underlying the concept of the opportunity cost and the nature of the BATNA. Opportunity cost, benefits that must be foregone. So if we think benefits that must be gone, this benefits. So this is when opportunity costs are the benefits available from a alternative that must be foregone in order to pursue a certain action. Pursuing current agreement. So if we think about pursuing a current agreement, in negotiations, the opportunity cost represents the alternative, the other agreement or no agreement, which is something that you must give up in order to pursue a certain action. Giving up something. So when you talk about giving up something, uh, the you think it in terms of what it is you can give up. Bottom line is this: you want to give up something. Possibly, you may be giving up something, so you're thinking about that. Possibility, opportunity, cost examples. So when we think about this, you think possible opportunity cost examples. Let me see. Let me see if I can think right off the top of my head. It's like okay, like a customer at a car wash, a customer at a car dealership, can buy a car, in front of him, but this may mean uh, potentially foregoing a better deal at another dealership. So that, I guess we look at the opportunity, the cost of signing a deal at a dealership A, makes you kind of ineligible to sign at dealership B. Opportunity costs need to be clearly defined. So when you look at this, first, while opportunity costs can be clearly defined, it's not necessary. Take for example a car negotiation. Since I mentioned the car thing, I'll stick with that. The opportunity cost for the buyer is the possibility of buying the same car somewhere else. That is often well defined. On the other side, though, you got the seller, the possibility of another customer paying more for the car is less defined. So the salesman may not know, who the next customer is going to walk through the door when you take when you take action, but there's opportunity that could happen. Can be similar parties. So, it's like another opportunity, costs can be closely mirror each other. Take example, like politicians negotiating over some policy agreement. The opportunity cost to agree to vote on the bill and virtually the same or for both sides. For a political part, the opportunity cost for political part, you have the politicians, and you have like the calculus and like to determine the opportunity cost voting for a piece of legislation or something. Um, can be similar for parties. So we look at it and stuff. It could be similar for parties and stuff. It could be different. It would be similar. But when you have something similar stuff, both sides are looking at it trying to figure out, well, what's my angle? What does I get out of it? Uh, Need not relate to issues. It could be something unrelated to the issue, something totally unrelated, but it still may be something that you have to negotiate on. So we're looking at the BATNA. Alternatives are not equally desirable. So when you look at alternatives not equally desirable, that means opportunity costs generally represent the range of the alternatives that are foregone when you agree to like a specific outcome. But like all those alternatives are not equal in terms of desirability to you. Best alternative to a negotiated agreement. So sometimes you got to look at that, and that's your BATNA. Your best alternative to negotiate agreement. The best alternative to available alternatives is known as your BATNA, which represents the best alternative. Important characteristics of the BATNA. So let's see. Important characteristics of BATNA. Important characteristics of a BATNA are as follows. A BATNA exists outside the current negotiation. It is not the best offer in the negotiation. If you are attempting to negotiate to get someone to do something different, the BATNA is often the status quo. BATNAs are not changed by what happens within the negotiation. Each party at the table has a BATNA. BATNA is singular. There is only one best. BATNAs can be bad. Can be bad. You can still have the best of a poor set of alternatives. BATNAs are not just offers. While offers can be BATNAs, they are no means representative of what BATNA can be in the minds of an individual negotiator. Your BATNA to buying a car might instead be keeping your current car. Your BATNA to negotiating for a job might be keeping your current job. Both of the BATNAs represent the status quo. While BATNAs can offer, can be other offers, BATNA cannot really be anything that you believe in that's the best option. So when you look at the BATNA, it's always it's always going to be have a BATNA. So it's always going to be like an alternative. Your best option. And are you just are not just compromises? They're not just compromises. Uh, like give you example, like the most common mistakes in trying to understand like a BATNA is that thinking that if you cannot reach an agreement, you and the other side will settle on some value in the middle, and that'd be your BATNA. But your BATNA is actually is potentially where else can you take your business, or potentially keeping your current contract or status quo. May not be specific. So if we look at BATNAs, they may not be specific. Um, it can be something that when you have an alternative and you look at a situation and you see that you have a BATNA, it may not be specific per se. To give an example, what exactly is the best alternative to it? So you may not know, but you suspect there may be one. Create influence in negotiation. So when you're looking at creating influence in negotiation, that can affect how a party with the alternative sees the negotiation, and two, because it affects how the other party negotiates. BATNA and confidence. So negotiations are plagued by uncertainty. So when you have negotiation, they're plagued by uncertainty. When you have people who are not necessarily, bottom line is this: you go in and know that there's some things that you want to negotiate on and you want to talk about and stuff. But then there's also going to be some uncertainty because some things are going to come up in the course of having your conversations and looking at examining different issues. Confidence can affect motivation. And so if you have good confidence when you go into the negotiations, it can affect you. It can help motivate you. One of the things I've always tell people: competence leads to confidence, and your confidence can help drive your motivation. If you feel good about what you're doing and where you are and stuff, then you're a little bit more motivated to try to maybe do more or get more out of the negotiation. Link between confidence and performance. So when we look at the link between, like the more confident you are, the better you tend to perform. Plain and simple. And this is something that you see all the time. But the more confident somebody is, the better they perform. And confidence partly related to self-efficacy. So when you think about that, self-efficacy is, that is the extent to which you believe that you're able to successfully perform a task. And so when you have that, confidence, it can help promote that self-efficacy. having a good balance. So when you know that you have another good alternative, if you don't come to an agreement, and you are more comfortable in exerting your certain tactics and stuff. So that confidence, you got tactic of building the coalition. So this is that. So when you're using like this tactic, individuals carefully bring other parties out, onto the side in order to convince them, the other side, to give them what they want. Uh, it's possible. If it's possible, then they'll decide to use a tactic. And how confident is a negotiation when you using this tactic and stuff? Negotiations, ones who's confident, ones who's not. You're going to see different types of tactics. Opposite effect of no alternative. So when you have no option, but you reach an agreement with the party at the table, it may make you less likely, and willing to engage in tactics, which that may be risky. So you're going to be thinking about that, and you're like, what, I might not be too interested in doing that one. And log rolling tactic. This is actually something, I'm going to read this one to you. Log rolling tactic. When trying to log roll, you must be able to discover when issues in a bargaining mix are valued differently by both sides. This typically involves asking questions, seeking to understand the other party. But the paradox of reciprocity suggests that you might be scared of asking such questions, fearful that the other side will take advantage of you. Confidence lowers this fear. If you have a good BATNA, it will set your mind at ease, lowering any anxiety you may have and making you feel more comfortable in asking tough questions, which ultimately may add value to the negotiation. So I don't think I could explain it any better than that. So you got BATNA resource power. So the better BATNA, the better your BATNA in a negotiation, the more resource power you will have to be able to bring negotiations, which can come from two different sources. One, how much the parties in the negotiation value the resources you hold. How much do you value the resources they hold? And phantom BATNA potential. Phantom BATNA. Go ahead. Also remember that BATNA for either side need not be based in reality or for to have an effect. When a BATNA could exist, it is referred as a phantom BATNA rather than an actual BATNA. So it may be the potential for a BATNA, but not an actual BATNA. So to the resource power distribution. So resource power distribution. See candidate alternatives, recruit alternatives, and then you see over here resource power distribution, advantage candidate, no clear advantage. So you have a recruiter and a candidate negotiating here for like a job. So candidates alternatives already has several other job offers that he could be happy with. Already has several job offers. So if we look at right here, the first line, already has several job offers. Recruiter has no other qualified applicants. Resource distribution, advantage to candidate. So as you read through those, I won't read all through those, you can see when there's advantage to the candidate, advantage to the recruiter, and then there's no clear advantage. That is resource distribution. Other BATNAs. So you see offer from employer. So here's your description. 65. Counter offer from the job at 75. Employer's BATNA. Go back to the job pool and try to find someone similar quality at 65. And the job candidate's BATNA. The employer's BATNA. The job candidate's BATNA. 78 from another employer, but with a longer commute. So you can see, what the BATNA is, and you kind of see where it looks at. It's like, and what they have to work with, what one BATNA is and what the other BATNA is. A great BATNA. I'm not going to negotiate with you. Then I'm going to pee on the carpet. So you can see the BATNA is this. We have a choice. We don't negotiate. I pee on the carpet. Improving your BATNA, you have to gather information. So if you're going to improve your BATNA, you got to have information. You got to be able to know what the alternatives might be. And if you don't have your information, you would not know this. Or you wouldn't know, if you did a poor job, you would have a weak BATNA. And that's not what you want to have. Employee with an abusive supervisor. So I'll give you an example. You got an employee with an abusive supervisor. So any negotiation with the abusive supervisor is likely to be horrible. One of the only things that the employee can do, in these employee can do in like a situation like that, is to work to improve his or her BATNA to find another supervisor or find another job. Possible alternatives. So you look here, you see job, negotiation, party, potential employee. Possible alternatives: finding another job offer, keeping current job with better benefits, research, need to search job market, talk with boss about possibilities of staying. So that's for a job. You see a car, you see here, car, customer, another car, a different dealership, need to research online and see, find another car. Vacation rental, renter, possible alternatives: go to the Bahamas or stay in a hotel or rent a property. Need to do research on hotel costs and travel. So as you can see, when you start looking at these possible alternatives, sometimes you find out, the alternative may not be that bad. Depending upon, what it is, you may want to do that. Disclosing BATNA. BATNA represents the best option. So you see BATNA, so when disclosing your BATNA, you're communicating to the other side that, you have a better offer. And, that involves saying to the other side that I have another offer. At the beginning of a negotiation. So we think about at the beginning of a negotiation, when disclosing like your BATNA at the beginning of a negotiation, the opponents, they make less demanding offers, are more truthful, and they settle for less, and that happens and that's the best place to do it at the beginning. BATNA work because of perception. So BATNA work because of perception. You can have a great BATNA, but if you can't convince the other side that you have a great BATNA, then the BATNA is not going to increase your resource power in a negotiation. Plain and simple. It's just not going to do it. Implications of disclosure. So if you have implications of disclosure, so if you disclose a lot of detail about your BATNA, it might be more convincing to the other party, which could take advantage of you. So disclosing could lead to a situation where the other party sees that, what your BATNA is and does not value it as much as you do. Okay, now you're going to come up short. Exposing bad BATNA. So, if your BATNA is like, let's say if your BATNA is like bankruptcy, which could harm the other party, sharing that information may help the other side move to a particular issue. I think a classic quote here is like, if I walk away, neither of us gets what we want. And that's not what you want. Exposing another's BATNA. Trying to access others' BATNA. So when you're trying to access another BATNA, this is helpful, especially when you suspect their BATNA is not as strong as yours. It can increase your perceived power in the negotiation by suggesting you're willing to compare BATNAs. Information gathering before and during negotiation. So information gathering before and during the negotiation. You got to go in there prepared with information, but you got to also gather some information while you're doing the negotiation. Listen for things that might be of value to you, or something where they show their hand, or somewhere you see a weakness. Reluctance to share information. So, one danger is that, they may realize that, your BATNA is weak and you could potentially work to improve it. They could also be, reluctant to share information, which suggests that the BATNA is weak, or, they want to wait to use the BATNA, or they prefer negotiating using without a BATNA. So there's a lot of possibilities there. When somebody's reluctant, you got to make sure you're picking up on the right vibe. Don't misread why they're being reluctant. Deciding your BATNA is preferable. So when you're actually in a negotiation with someone, and you know, you have some mutual respect or whatever else, you could come to a mutual understanding agreement that your background is preferable. Um, Communicating willingness to leave. You got to be willing to communicate willingness to leave, and not actually bluff people with that. You know, it's got to be something that, you know, say, if you say you're willing to leave, you are willing to leave. Works when you actually walk away. So when you think about that, when it actually works when you actually walk away, you know, if you threaten to walk away or start walking away but come back, it does not have the same effect as actually making the walk out the door. It's just not. Because see, now you feel like you're just trying to bluff them. Now, potential danger is, you know, it is also important to, you know, to note that danger in using the power of walk away, they might actually let you go. So you got to understand that. Exchange of resources. So you got to exchange. So if you can, if you can tip the scale of resource power in your favor, you know, you can extract more value from the negotiation. You know, further, because many people, you know, many people who negotiate are relatively novices in that. So they're not really all that experienced and stuff. So you look at it and see, you might be exchange right there. You can get a better offer. If you have improved your BATNA and before going in and willing to expose your BATNA, you can get a better offer. Save money on the deal. Save money on the deal. You know, if you do not work to improve your BATNA before going in, then the resource power and the confidence will clearly be in the favor of the salesperson or the other party, not you. Part of a company policy. So if we look at part of the company policy, you know, like for instance, managers resist increasing your salary unless, you know, you prove that you can go out on the open market and get a better offer. And so this is something that you'll see. This is kind of like a power play with the company when in the negotiation process. You know, you got to be able to show them that, hey, my value is this, and you're paying me, you're underpaying me. BATNA is not always good. I mean, you know, BATNA not always good. I mean, using alternatives to influence is still aggressive towards, you know, like the other party, and it's likely to come with, you know, some social costs. You know, there's no value being created, and there's no creative solutions being generated. You know, it's simply negotiating based on, you know, what else could be achieved. Hurt feelings. And this can happen right there. You know, you use your BATNA. Your BATNA could be seen as evidence of a lack of trust, which is actually, you know, that the tactics may be best used when, you know, the trust does not exist. And that way, subsequently, you don't hurt someone's feelings or whatever. Unequal distribution of power. So you have this is parties of unequal distribution. They engage in more contentious behavior. They use threats and punishment. So obviously, it's not a good way to do it. Harms the relationship. It harms the relationship because when you go through this is the kind of thing that people remember. People, you know, they may forgive, but they don't forget. Person you want to be seen as. You want to be seen as the person who is gaining information that sellers are willing to share, and using the context of a simple business transaction while you're in fact pitting vendors against each other. You want to be seen as somebody who's competent, knows their stuff, and can negotiate in good faith. Being privy to another's BATNA. So when you look at it, being privy to another's BATNA, you know, this is going back to to like the job candidate and the employer. So like if employer knows from a friend at the company that the, you know, $78,000 offer we talked about earlier that the employee was seeking, you know, the offer is, you know, is to join, you know, a unit that might be merged, you know, the next year or two. The employer could leverage that information and extract maybe more value up, you know, from the job candidate. So that concludes this chapter.